Hello viewers, my name is Dr. Cosmas Chikwawawa. Welcome. Today we are looking at the subject research philosophy. I hope today I will be able to demystify this subject and to simplify it. Let's first of all look at the concept of philosophy. What is philosophy? Philosophy is derived from the Greek word philosophia, meaning love of wisdom. Philosophy seeks to understand fundamental questions about existence, knowledge, ethics, reality, and various other issues. It involves critical and rational inquiry into human life and the world. Let's look at the philosophical basis of research. There are three major philosophical bases of research, namely ontology, epistemology, and axiology. Let's look at ontology first. Ontology refers to the nature of reality. It is the study of being concerned with what is, that is, concerned with the nature of existence and the structure of reality. Ontology or ontological assumptions are concerned with what constitutes reality. It is concerned with the existence of and relationship between different aspects of society, such as social factors, cultural norms, and social structures. Ontology concerns our beliefs about the kind and nature of reality and the social world. Ontological perspectives. Let's look at ontological perspectives. Firstly, let's look at objectivism. Objectivism poses that reality exists independently of individuals. Social entities exist external to social actors. So basically, objectivism poses that reality is objective and is independent of individuals. In other words, reality exists independently of the perceiver of that reality, independently of individuals or social actors. Then the other perspective we would like to look at, which is like the antithesis of objectivism, that's subjectivism. Subjectivism poses that reality is socially constructed. Social phenomena emerge from people's perceptions and actions. In other words, the reality is subject to perception. What is reality differs from one perception to another. People's actions construct reality or change what reality is. So reality is subjective, hence subjectivism as a perspective, as an ontological perspective. Now let's look at the second philosophical base, which is epistemology, or the nature of knowledge. Epistemology is concerned with what knowledge is, how it can be acquired, and how it can be communicated. It examines sources of knowledge, the scope and legitimacy of knowledge, and what constitutes acceptable or valid knowledge within a given discipline. Epistemology obviously influences the choice of research methodology. Once epistemological ideas or views influences one's choice of research methodology, because research is about acquiring knowledge. It's about a quest for knowledge, a systematic quest for knowledge. So one's perception of knowledge, one's understanding of knowledge influences one's choice of research methodology. Now let's look at epistemological perspectives. Firstly, let's look at what is called positivism. This is the idea that reality exists independently of human thoughts and beliefs. It supposes that knowledge is obtained through scientific methods. It emphasizes observation, measurement, testing, and objectivity. In other words, it assumes that reality is objective. It's not dependent on who is perceiving it. It is what it is, irrespective of the views of the perceiver or the researcher. Right, let's look at another epistemological perspective, which is sort of the opposite or antithesis of positivism. This one is called interpretivism. Interpretivism assumes that understanding social reality can be achieved through human experiences. It recognizes individuals as social actors. It emphasizes understanding people rather than simply measuring phenomena. It poses that reality is subject to interpretation. It usually leads to the choice of qualitative methodology. It presupposes that reality is subject to interpretation. It depends on who is looking at it. It depends on the perceiver's perspective and the viewpoint. Therefore, it uses the term interpretivism, meaning subject to interpretation, and is usually aligned to qualitative research methodology, which seeks to understand a phenomenon in its context from various viewpoints. Now, let's look at the next epistemological perspective, which is realism. Realism shares similarities with positivism in that it recognizes that reality exists independent of human understanding. Although it also recognizes that perception may be influenced by social conditions. It usually leads to the adoption of quantitative research methodology or mixed methods research or mixed methods methodological approach. Let's look at pragmatism as another epistemological perspective. Pragmatism focuses on practical solutions and actions. It focuses on what is pragmatic, that is what works, what is practical, what enables the researcher to achieve their objectives. From this perspective, research methods are based on their ability to answer the research problem. It doesn't value adherence to one philosophical position, but rather it recognizes the imperative to use methods that enable the achievement of the research goals. Hence, it normally leads to the employment of a multiplicity of methods, usually the adoption of the mixed methods research approach. Let's now look at the third philosophical base of research, which is called axiology. That's the philosophy of values. Axiology is concerned with the values or ethics in research. It examines how researchers manage their own values as well as the values of their research participants. It recognizes that values influence research decisions and judgment. In other words, values influence the choice of research methodology. For example, if a researcher values interaction with people and sharing values, he or she is likely to adopt qualitative methods and to collect data through interviews, through focus group discussions, participant observation, and so forth. I hope this discussion has enlightened you on the philosophical basis of research and how philosophical views influence the researcher's choice of research methodology, focusing on three major bases, philosophical bases, namely ontology, epistemology, and axiology. Thank you. Please do like and share. I hope to meet you again as we delve into another subject relative to research methodology. I thank you.